Have you heard? Metro by T-Mobile now includes Amazon Prime. Yes, enjoy the best of shopping and entertainment, movies, TV shows, music, free shipping, and much more. All included for just $40 per line for 3 lines. All on the T-Mobile network. Discover the smarter way. Metro by T-Mobile. That's genius. One offer per account. Offer subject to change. $12.99 per month value. Offer valid for new Amazon Prime members. Metro customers may notice reduced speeds versus some T-Mobile customers. Video at 480p. Capable device required. See store for details and terms and conditions.
Aloha, everyone, and welcome to Aquarian Radio at aquarianradio.com. And I'm your host, Janet Carolesson, with my co-hosts, Karen Christine Patrick and Theresa J. Morris, who will be joining us in a little while. Today, our guest is Neil GAUR. And Neil GAUR, in 2002, while studying business administration at Cal State University Fullerton, began researching religion. Through a series of synchronicities and YouTube videos, he came across information on ancient civilizations such as Sumer, Babylon, and Atlantis. This information resonated with him, and it felt extremely familiar. After delving far into the conspiracies and awareness of the controlling elite, he began to realize the secret, spiritual, and sacred geometrical connection that all this had to do with our purpose on Earth. This led him back to Hinduism and to look at the dharma he was raised with, as well as all other faiths, in an entirely new light. As he researched more about meditation and ancient scriptures, he realized the dynamics of the matrix and how it's all interconnected. In the years following, he came upon information about ET awareness, our star family, the purpose for existing in duality, and where we are heading in the years to come. He realized that we are the star beings incarnate in form and understood the vibration and frequency of creation. This sparked a remembrance of his existence and other dimensions and timelines. He is now aware of his purpose and mission in this reality to assist in uplifting the consciousness of humanity, dedicates his life to creating conscious gatherings and holding space for awareness so that we may shift into a higher octave of existence and choose to live in a more harmonious paradigm of universal love and oneness. He is part of the Portal to Ascension team that is now embarking on a worldwide mission to take these events across the planet so we may celebrate our oneness and step into our authenticity while we remember who we are and why we are here. And before I bring on Neil, I'm going to bring on Karen, who is in the queue. Karen, Christine Patrick, are you there?
I am here. Very excited to talk to our guests. That was some really interesting information and topics that I really love. So this is great.
I know you're going to love Neil. Neil and I met years ago. And now let's put the mic on. Oh, you want to say anything about yourself and who you are before we bring on Neil?
Oh, yes. I'm a co-host here on Aquarian Radio. I do have a tremendous interest in where spiritual meets the physical, our deeper purpose in life, the kinds of topics that you read in the introduction was really good. I'm interested in that sort of thing, and I already have some questions.
Oh, great. Okay, I'm going to click on and welcome Neil to our show. Welcome, Neil. Oh, it's great to have you here. Hi, Neil.
Hi, Jenny. Hi, Karen. I'm doing awesome.
Hi.
Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Well, we'd love to hear more about you and your work. Who is this person, Neil GAUR? I met you, goodness, many years ago now, and I know we're all constantly evolving, and I've been watching your work, and I'm just amazed at what you're accomplishing. That's
Thank you.
Accomplish. So do tell us who you are and what more about this mission.
Sure. So my name is Neil. That's who I am. I was born and raised in England. When I was around 12 years old, I came to California because my dad had a job transfer. And when I came over here, I didn't really have any family. I had a huge family in England, like where I had to have like 3 different birthday parties because I had one for my friends, one for my family. Like it was a lot of excitement and a lot of family dynamics. When I came to the U.S., I didn't really have that. So throughout high school, I kind of was gravitated to certain different types of groups. I was listening to a lot of music that was esoteric that I didn't even know was. And I basically started doing a lot of research towards the end of high school. And I stumbled on a few, as you said in my bio, I stumbled on a few YouTube videos. And the first one, actually, person that I stumbled across was Jordan Maxwell, who was talking about the sons of God and the Anunnaki. So when I started delving into that awareness, I started seeing that they were talking about energy, vibration, quantum physics, and like wormholes, a lot of things to do with basically quantum sciences. And this kind of like sparked my curiosity because to me it was like we're only rediscovering this information now. So it looked like these advanced civilizations were having texts talking about sciences that we don't even know yet and we haven't even implemented as quantum fact. It's still quantum theory. So this kind of brought me into looking into my own religion. I realized that vibration, what is vibration? And I saw that in Hinduism, the gurus, it's all about frequency, that enlightenment isn't something so esoteric and metaphysical that it's just like a metaphor. It's actually a physical happening of your vibratory state that you basically get into a meditative state and raise your frequency, the frequency of the atoms and the energy flowing through your body, so you can reach a certain level of awareness and tap into higher dimensions, because everything is dimensions. We're existing within the 3rd and the 4th dimension. The higher dimension you go, the higher the frequency is. So I realized that the Sumerian tablets and the vibration and frequency information was talking exactly about the same thing that my religion was saying. So I went down from like 2001 to 2005, basically down the rabbit hole of religion, where I was connecting the dots. And I used to kind of kid my friends. Like at that point, I was so like on point with my awareness of religion that I felt that I could convince someone who believed in God that there was no God, and then I could convince someone who believed that there was no God that there is a God. Because basically by connecting the wisdom to the ancients and vibrations and frequencies. So that led me into even further depth of study. I kind of went down the rabbit hole with conspiracies, the Illuminati, a lot of fear. And in 2008, I had an awakening where I basically met my soul family at an open mic. My friend was on stage. He was singing a song called My Name is Love. And I was really kind of scared at that point. I wasn't really so much into the spiritual wisdom about the Ascension yet. I realized that there was a lot of manipulation, a lot of things happening, and basically we're being controlled is what I felt. So when he was on stage and he sang the song, My Name is Love, it like sparked something within me. And I realized that the missing link of everything that I'm doing was the love, that I was like way deep into this wisdom, but I forgot that it was all unconditional love, which kind of took me down a different route where I started realizing that the reason we're on this planet, the reason why we're experiencing all this information and all this corruption and manipulation is because we signed up to be here, that we're on this planet to experience duality, that we're here in order to purge in the depths of our souls and experience the karma for the galaxy so that we can transcend and ascend to a higher dimension. So 2008 really was where I started doing Portal to Ascension, and the mission started happening where I started creating all these events that you know about.
Excellent. I just saw TJ was trying to get on. I'll call her again. While I'm working to get her on. I know she wants to talk to you, Neil, because you were communicating with her on Facebook or something, and she really wants to be on the show. So I'm going to try to do that, but I'll let Karen then go and ask you the first question. But I do want to address all these things. This is important information. Why are we here? There's all kinds of theories, and I believe, and I like to do my beliefs, right? My analysis of my exploration of all this information through my investigation, my own spiritual journey inward and to source, is that it seems that we're in some kind of matrix, some kind of virtual reality. We believe it's real. We think this is real, and we're here as co-creators from source, with source, to diversify creation and make things interesting. Otherwise, there'd be nothing to do. So we're here making things interesting. And so we can judge it and make it right or wrong, good or bad, light or dark, or whatever. These are all just things upon which we define who we are as eternal beings, and we can make decisions about what we want to do in relationship to other beings and the planet and the earth. Where do we choose? What do we choose? Love or fear? What do we choose? So with that, I'll pass that on to Karen, who is sitting there with her hand up. I can see it, even though I can't see it.
She knows
Karen.
me well. Yeah, she voted most likely to ask a question. Okay, so could you go into your conspiracy era a little bit? Because I grew up second generation conspiracy theorist, and I'm always interested how people get through that, season on their way to a more enlightened view, kind of choosing love out of what starts out as a basis of fear. So if you could just kind of go into that journey a little bit, I'm always, how'd you get from there to here, basically?
Sure. So basically in around 2000, when I graduated high school in June of 2000, that's when I started researching and watching all these videos. For a good year, it was just super extraterrestrial information, mostly Anunnaki stuff. And then also just looking into my own religion. I even started reading the Bible again because raised a Hindu, born and raised in England, with a family that believes in Jesus as well. We celebrated Christmas my entire life, and we always watched the biblical stories like as a family because we actually believed in it. And so I actually started reading the Bible all over again too. And when I was reading the Bible, I had this other book that was called The Truth of the Nephilim. And I was reading and comparing basically I was rereading the Bible because when I was young, I went to, even though I'm not Catholic, I went to Catholic school in England. And I read the Bible there, so I reread it, and I was comparing it with this book that was talking about the Nephilim and how they were extraterrestrial beings. And everything was matching up, and I was kind of seeing each verse by each verse and how it was all connected. That took me into about 2001, looking into the bloodlines and tracking the bloodlines back in the royal families and going back all the way to Samaria and seeing how that there's been family, there's been this control from this bloodline ever since back in the Sumerian days going up until now, and the whole agenda has been to control the human population. And it started with maybe more blatant, and now it's kind of more diplomatic where everybody is enslaved but they don't even see it because it's the illusion of separation. So from 2001 to 2008, I was researching all this stuff on Illuminati, Skull and Bones, Nazis and their UFO program. And then even when the swine flu came out, I knew about the swine flu a year before because I had heard a radio show where they talked about this engineered virus, and that it's going to be released in a year. And when it gets released, the whole purpose is for depopulation. So I was going down the depopulation route back in 2005. And then all of a sudden, a year later, it happened. So that kind of solidified, oh my God, all this stuff is real. So I started panicking, thinking that something really is going to happen and they're trying to do it. But then whatever was supposed to happen with swine flu completely didn't happen. It wasn't an epidemic. Many people didn't die. So who knows whether what I knew was actually truth, or maybe something else happened where the consciousness of the planet shifted, and there's a lot of light workers out there working to basically save people. So I was deep in that. And then basically up until 2007, I was actually also working in the stock market. I was a financial analyst. And 2005, 2006, I was doing financial analyst work. And then 2007, I changed to work for another firm, a stockbroking agency. And in October of 2008, I got fired because the market just crashed, and I made a trade, and lost a lot of money for my broker, so I got fired. At that point, I kind of started reflecting on myself, and I was like, well, I don't want to work in finance anymore because it's not in integrity. No matter what happens, if my client makes money or loses money, I still make money, and I just don't feel in alignment with it. So in 2008, sorry, there's some noise here.
Go ahead.
So
I'm here with some noise too. Go ahead, though.
So in 2008, I started basically just looking for another job and reflecting inside and learning how to do web design and going out and exploring cafes, open mics. And I've been doing poetry for a while. I do something called slam poetry, spoken word. It's kind of like hip hop and poetry combined. And I've been going to open mics and doing this stuff. And all my poetry is about extraterrestrial races, ancient civilizations, universe, black holes. Just basically bringing forth all this information through music. So in 2008, right after I left my job, I was at an open mic, and I was performing there, and there was around 4 or 5 other people there that soon became my best friends, and my best friends up until today. They were performing as well, and that's when my friend Jose actually went on stage, and he sang My Name Is Love. And I was contemplating a lot of things at that point, and I knew that there was something spiritual amongst all this information that I'm learning, and I knew since I was looking into religions that it was about vibration and frequency, but I didn't realize that it was all meant to be. I felt that everything wasn't meant to be, and everything is completely distorted from what it should be. So as spiritual as it was, as much as I understood that component, I just didn't realize that, okay, when I come from a level of, okay, this is all supposed to be, I shift my frequency, and I'm no longer antagonizing things and perpetuating things because I'm putting my energy into the fear, but I put my energy into the love, and when I do that, I start creating a whole different reality. So that's 2008, November 2008, Portal to Ascension did their first event, which was Hypnopop, where we combined hypnosis, frequencies, and meditation and sound healing, basically to guide people to release creative blocks so that they can be at their full potential. And that was just the beginning of it all. From 2008 onwards, we just kept picking up more and more pace up until today, where we're becoming really big.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I just wanted, Neil, I think we have TJ Morris here, and I know she's been trying to get on, and I'm going to click it live, and then we'll have TJ ask a question if she's ready. If this is indeed TJ. Is this,
Hi.
Hi, Theresa J. Moore. So,
hi,
Theresa,
thank you for inviting me.
Oh, you're most welcome, Theresa. Yeah, say hi to Neil and Karen, TJ, and vice versa.
Hi, Neil and Karen, real quickly. Hey, I love both of you.
Hey, TJ. Nice to hear you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I don't know how much you caught of the show. If you have something you want to ask Neil, sharing, it's an incredible path to consciousness and enlightenment. So,
well, sure. I hope Neil, I want to get you to myself and the world later because I want to know more about you. But it's wonderful to be on a panel discussion with Karen and Janet and you. So I'm totally enjoying listening, and I know Karen and me and Janet can work together, to just fit in where we need to, because this is, you and I have talked before back in 2012, and I think you came on briefly on my radio show back then, but we haven't talked all this time, so I just sort of wanted to play catch up. You were doing the Portal to Ascension, if you remember, with it started with an E.
And Janet was actually at that event, the Cosmic Reunion event. So that was actually 2012, 2008 up until 2012. We were doing small spiritual events, meditation events. 2010 we went on a tour up and down the coast doing sound healing with Dr. And then after that we did a few other tours with my friend Brad Johnson, who channeled Adronis from the Syrian star system. And we went basically up and down the coast to every town we could and just did small workshops. So it was very, very small. But up until 2012, when we realized, oh my God, our social media presence is getting big. People are reaching out to us. All these big name speakers are reaching out to us. So we said, okay, 2012 was around the corner. So in November 2012, we created the Cosmic Reunion Conference. And the Cosmic Reunion Conference that we're actually on your show for, Theresa, and that Janet was at, was the milestone in Portal to Ascension evolution. That was the event that made us realize that, oh my God, we have something going here. We can create something bigger. So ever since 2012, November 2012, it's been getting bigger and bigger. So you're in the beginning, basically.
Yeah, I wish I could have come. My husband was ailing for 3 years, and he's passed, Neil. So I have more time on Earth to be connected to the Ascension Center. So I'm all about that, and we'll just have to see. We all have a piece of the puzzle, and I just want to find more fun-loving people to play with, So that's my part. Yep. So back to you, Neil. So I caught you up to 2009. I was listening. What happened is Janet and I just did 2 hours of shows with Stephen Halpern and Robert Novak, and my battery ran down. I've got 2 cell phones, and I'm talking to you on one of them. So you know how it is. The universe calls, and we're spending money to be out there in cyberspace. So it just took me a while to get on. But Janet was very nice at figuring out, okay, where's TJ? She's supposed to be here. It was all about finding the power. Yeah, I had to find the connection, one of them that would plug in. But I was listening. Now, I heard up to 2009, and and then Janet was at the conference, and she filled me in, and I think she came back on and gave us a review of how things went. And now I remember something about the bowls and my brass head. So what was about the bowls going on? Was that you or your partner?
Go ahead, Neil.
Yeah, that was you talking about the Tibetan bowls, right?
Yeah.
The crystal. Yeah, that's actually our second thing. Weekly we do sound healing activations, and we have a place over here that's a Himalayan soul cave, where it's like one of those spas that you go in and it's all decked out like a Himalayan soul cave, a Himalayan salt all around you and on the floor. And we do sound healings with a range of different ancient tools from Tibetan bowls, crystal bowls, tuning forks, didgeridoo, Native American drum, solfeggio healing tubes, anything that we can find that is an ancient tool that emanates a frequency, we basically try to incorporate into this experience. So back in 2012, I had been doing it for 2 years. So I started in 2010. In 2012, we actually incorporated it into the whole of the Cosmic Reunion. So after every single presenter, we had a different sound healing practitioner from somewhere in California featured and doing the sound activation. So that was basically what we did back then.
Okay. Well, there's so much in you, and it's coming out so fast. It's amazing. So apparently you're very in tune with everybody, and we just need to everybody resonate at a higher frequency, obviously. And we've got to watch what we say. I'm learning from Janet. She listens to so many people. She's been interviewing people for years, and I've only been doing panels for building organizations, okay? And occasionally I would interview somebody, but it's so much more strength to be one-on-one or one with one co-host. And, there's many ways to do radio shows. So that's why I was saying we could have you back again. And she said, I've got him. And so you and I were emailing each other, and so here we are. So, the universe finally makes itself, puts the pieces together, So how many pieces are you working on? The bowls? Are you doing more conferences now? And I saw that you sent me some stuff to affiliate to do videos, and so there's so much for you to talk about. So I don't know if me and Karen are up on every little thing you do. Janet may be, but you want to enlighten everybody?
He's got a wonderful – Neil has an incredible website, portal to Ascension.com, I believe. Take a look at it. Or .org. So, Neil, tell us about these virtual conferences that you're doing and some of the incredible speakers that you have on.
Yes. So basically, when we did the conferences in 2012, Cosmic Reunion 2012 did very well financially that we bought enough money to live off, and we bought enough money to do another one of these events. So in April of 2012, we did the second Cosmic Reunion, which was Cosmic Reunion 4th Density. But with that one, we wanted to go all out, so I took out some loans. I really made sure I had enough money to really make it big. However, we didn't do so well. So because I took out the loans and I was basically got financially, I was kind of messed up financially at that point. I actually lost my house, and from 2012 up until 2014, not my house, my rental house. From 2012 until 2014, I was basically homeless because I couldn't really get back into a home. I didn't have enough money. I had a lot of debt. So I actually put Portal to Ascension on hiatus, and I've done this since 2008, probably 6-7 times, where I'm like screw this, this is too much work. I'm not a missionary. I don't want to do this. And then all these synchronistic things would happen, hardcore magical stuff would happen that would basically be this is what you're supposed to do, and you can't be doing the mainstream stuff. So in 2014, when I was really telling my friends and that I was done with Portal to Ascension, I had an idea come to me. I was like, well, if I do online events, I won't have to worry about overhead costs of getting a venue and all this money, and I can not only just market to a town, I can market to the whole entire world. So in the end of 2014, we started doing webinars. And we've done webinars before, but like one every 6 months, never consistently. So for the last 2 years, we've been doing webinars consistently. We've done around 60 to 70 webinars in the last 2 years. And it started with one-day conferences. Like our first one was Cosmic Reunion Online Conference, and then Starseed Summit Online Conference, then the Ascension Online Conference, then Sacred Geometry Online Conference, then Sacred Sexuality, and then the Return of the Goddess Online Conference. So Physics of the Universe. So like everything hardcore, very niche names that people really want to learn a lot about, but very unique names that make people want to be a part of it. So we're doing that every single year, every single month, and I would have around 5 to 6 presenters. Maybe 4 of them will be very well known. One of them might be a guest presenter that I'm introducing to the community. So we're very, very well up until August of last year, where we're doing so well that I quit my full-time job as an SEO specialist. And so from August up until now, I've just been full-time doing webinars. And now I just launched the schedule just a couple of days ago for the rest of the year, and we have webinars scheduled almost every single week for the rest of the year. And we have individual workshops. For example, yesterday we did Michael Tellinger's Creating a World of Abundance. We had 300 people signed up, but they were viewing parties worldwide, so we probably had around 2,000, 3,000 people watching it yesterday. And basically it was a call to action about changing the political system and what's going on right now with the Ubuntu movement. So it was really groundbreaking information. And then we have William Henry, who's been doing webinars with us every single month, and his one's coming up next month called Ascension and the Second Christ, where it's all about the ancient civilization wisdom and what it means for the return of the Christ consciousness. So now we're teaming up. Before we're doing all-day conferences, but now since people are hearing about us and knowing what we're doing and love our business platform, they're actually approaching us. So we're working with all these world-renowned presenters for their own entire workshops monthly. So we got that going on weekly now. Everybody else is individual workshop, but then we still have one conference every single month. For example, we have the Sacred Geometry, second annual Sacred Geometry Conference coming up in 2 months. And then in August, we have a 3-day summit called Extraterrestrial Disclosure Online Conference, where we have 20 presenters over a period of 4 days online, basically blowing the lid off everything when it comes to extraterrestrials. So we're just kind of like every time we do an event, we're just always thinking what's next, how can we make this even more fine-tuned, and we're using technology to the best of our ability so that we can get all the survey information, the poll data, and just fine-tune our platform. And now in like 2 to 3 weeks from now, we're re-releasing our platform, and we're going to basically be releasing ourselves kind of like a Netflix. So it's going to be a membership. You can just sign up for the individual webinar like everybody's doing now, or you can sign up for a membership, view all of our archives, plus view everything in the future, and also be part of like our VIP list where you get updates on different types of email. So that's where we're at right now.
Wonderful. Well, congratulations on getting back off the road and back in the house and getting up there back where you need to be, because abundance is everywhere. There's enough for everybody, isn't there, Neil?
Yes, definitely.
There's more than enough for everybody. So if somebody is a presenter, Neil, how do they get on one or more of these events? This, people have been envisioning this for years, what you're doing, but nobody can figure it out. And you look at Portal to Ascension. This is what I love about you, Neil. And actually, we stayed at Neil's house one time. Like, the last night, just closing it up. I remember that. And you were. Are you married now? Did you get married or something?
We got married. We got married on January 11th, 1/11. But our wedding and reception for all of our friends is on Saturday this week.
Whoa!
Oh my goodness! Wow!
How about that?
So if you look at Portal to Ascension, Neil, I am jealous. I love your graphics. Do you do all these? They're amazing. No,
actually, I was doing this with my cousin before. My cousin made all the original graphics, but now I have someone that works. A friend of mine who worked out of Mexico City, who's a sacred geometry artist, and he basically does all of our graphic design.
I'd love to meet him. Give me his email. I'd love to work with him. They are just beautiful graphics. Mm-hmm.
When I originally started, I didn't have any of the help, and there was people that joined and was a part of this movement and portal ascension many times. Like you know, Ilya was a part of it when we were hanging out, Janet, and my friend Nina was a part of it before that. And all these people, like, I had the craziest connection with. I was like, oh my God, we're soul family. We're never going to be apart. And I was younger back then, and I was more like kind of like ideological, I guess, and I was just really excited. And so I felt that everybody that came on at that time was supposed to be there forever, you know. And everybody kept dropping off because everybody has their own mission. So now, only now in the last 2 months, like, am I finally attracting the people that are supporting me in a way where I can start sourcing it. Like, now I have a graphic designer. We're looking for affiliates. I need somebody to do videos because we want to be on point and get everybody from every single level. Like, we want to even create hashtags, like True World History hashtags, disclosure hashtags, where we tag different news agencies and really create a viral movement, because that's the best way to make change.
Well, count me in. Sign me up.
Yeah.
I loved you, and you and Ilya were great. I know you've parted, and I followed you a little bit, and I see Ilya's very happily married. I think he's back in New York or something. And anyway, it's perfect on the divine plan. You guys knew all this before you came in, that this is what you're going to do, but you stimulated each other. There was something magical there, and now you're off on your own. Well, it's symbolized by your relationships. You now have stable relationships, right? So you have a foundation, your base chakra upon which you can do these things, and this divine partnership, and so you have stability. So now...
And mine had to cross over, right, Janet?
Well, TJ's had to cross over. There's perfection in everything. And TJ knew... Tom, I knew Tom, TJ's husband. He was holding TJ back on some level, and he let go. He just said, nope, I'm out of here. And he didn't take long. He decided to go, and he was gone, you know. He made that decision. and I know, TJ, you had to let him go. It's really hard. And then after he crossed, things opened up for TJ. And now Karen, we've all had our Phoenix Rising, I call it. And then Karen got a divorce. Karen needs to speak for herself, and then she's in a new partnership in a new location. So things are working well for her. Now, since we're starting to get our shit together on a personal level, now it's coalescing to happen on a global level. And I've always seen your inner. See, I had Portal to the Cosmos. We had the same vision. My Portal to the Cosmos, I had to kind of let go. I still have the website. I thought it was pretty. And you have Portal to Ascension. TJ has the Ascension Center. TJ was instrumental in coining the word ascension in the 80s, 1980s, over here in Hawaii, in Honolulu. Nice. She can tell you her story. And then, so it's all these synchronicities. And, of course, we're still doing the Anunnaki research, and that's what we're going to be doing on this conference we're doing with you, which I have to work on a little bit more. And anyway, I'm going to pass this on. Let's let Karen talk, and then we'll go round table and focus still on Neil and his work. I have 2:34 Hawaii time, so we're about 34 minutes into the first hour of the show. Back to you, Karen.
Well, I'm new to getting to know you, Neil, and hearing of your work, and I'm very excited about what you're doing with the internet stuff, and I'm going to be, partnering with people and using all the tools that we have now. And I was happy to hear you were an SEO person, so was I. I did a business plan in it, but unfortunately my mother got sick, so I scuttled that business plan, but I still got that knowledge. And it's time for all of us to upgrade our tools, right? And I've been involved in various conferences. The conference I was planning in October, I don't think it's going to happen. I got ill at the beginning of the year, still recovering. So it's kind of a thing where that is really getting more and more difficult to do, is do all of the overhead for a conference. And so I'm glad we're going to be working with you. I'm going to really look at what you've got and check it out, because I think the subscription model is really spot on for stability and sustainability. So you're doing some good stuff, and I think what's interesting is being an Anunnaki researcher, we're kind of the stepchildren of, the whole ET thing, because they're Anunnaki. What's it? If they know anything about the global, the bloodline issue, you can be looked at very askance, because it's much. I feel like this might be a subjective thing on my part, but it's much cooler if you're a channeler or in contact with like Arcturians or maybe Pleiadians, and you say Anunnaki, everybody takes a step back, But what I was told right off in my own experience is there are factions, and it's important to know, get into the history. It's a huge part of Earth history. Oh my gosh. And to find out, the factions and the fact that, human beings hopefully are in the process of changing their minds about how to do civilization. Hopefully we are ascending, and we're changing our minds about war, and we're changing our minds about, homelessness, starvation, lack of education, lack of health care. Maybe we're going to change our mind and think that's a basic human right and start adjusting that way. Well, ET races are beings like ourselves. They can change their minds too. And from what I was told, there were these beings thought of us at one point is pets or perhaps robotic inventions. And, some people don't believe their animals have feelings. I'm not one of those people. But basically, people have changed their minds about animals, and we now have more humane treatment of animals, or at least that awareness. And I think that's something that the Anunnaki, some of them, have decided about us, is that we have a touch of the divine within us and our own destiny, and have changed their mind and, in fact, are helping us to go past the paradigms that we have in the past. So I want to put that out there about what's going on with the Anunnaki in particular. But the fact that you're, having something about that amazes me, because it's a niche topic, really, in some ways.
Right.
The positive aspects are definitely a niche topic. So I'd be interested, just my question then would be on ET kinds of stuff and Anunnaki in particular, what kinds of projects have you been able to accomplish?
Yeah. So the whole thing with Portal to Ascension is that I want to really create these niche events. Like the term physics of the universe, you kind of just understand what that's about, and it's a niche event within the esoteric information. So the Anunnaki conference is us stepping into even more niches. We've been doing so well now, we've built up such a following that we can almost do any single event we want, and we'll get people there. So now I'm like, okay, so what do I want to bring out? We're not going to just do the Anunnaki conference. I'm going to have a conference dedicated to each ET race that I completely am conscious of. Right now we're going to do the Pleiadian Vibration Conference. We're going to do the Arcturian Wisdom Conference. We're going to do the Syrian Activation Conference. We're going to do the Reptilian Conference, which is going to be information on the negative reptilians plus the serpentine beings, which are the positive reptilians, and basically just shed a lot of light on breaking down the belief systems and the fear that we have around ET races and their connection to the planet. So the Anunnaki, I feel is instrumental, because that was just like me. Like, the first thing I ever found out about, the one thing that brought me back to my own religion of Hinduism, was finding out about the Anunnaki. And that right there, when I started reading some of that text and I realized that text was the same exact text that was in the Bible, but it predates the Bible by thousands of years, and it talks about the same people but as extraterrestrials, I was like, well, this information right here, what's the number one religion on this planet? Christianity. What's this whole Western world based on? Christianity. And if right there we have evidence to show that there's a religion that predates that, and all the text from the Christian text actually comes from there, that will start questioning a lot of things in life. So not only do I want to talk about the stories of the Anunnaki, but the positive aspects of what they did and the bloodlines, I want to also touch on the positive aspect of what this means for our evolution and what this means for world religion.
Well, that's fantastic. Go ahead. That's great.
Oh,
thank you.
I just see, I work with all the extraterrestrial beings on some level. I know TJ has worked with many of them, and so has Karen. We've worked with them in many forms, some physically and some through like astral encounters and spiritual encounters. So I'd love to help with any of these conferences that you're doing, because I'm connected to a lot of people because I work with experiencers, and I work with Ray Hernandez on free, and some people are now, Karen coined this phrase, we have the need to tell, and people are starting to come out, and they're able to tell their stories, and some will use their real names, and some are anonymous, but the more we can get the different variations what's emerging from my research and interviews with the different experiencers, and I work with them as a hypnotherapist as well. My husband, Dr. Les, and I help facilitate people go deeper into their processes. What's emerging is that some of the negative experiences that we've had with extraterrestrials are because of our own individual perception. We were afraid. And then there are some things that are being done that are kind of like, okay, we need to look at those. But overall, the longer a person they contact the experiencer, the more positive the experiences become. And I think that's because we relax into the situation and these extraterrestrials become more familiar with us, and we learn how to telepathically communicate with them and understand each other and get more comfortable with the exchange. So I just wanted to add my 2 cents there. Getting some background interference, perhaps we should mute. If you're not talking, mute, I guess. That might be the best thing. With that, I'm going to pass it on to TJ. Do you have any comments or feedback on what I just said? And then after that, it'll be TJ. Go ahead, Neil.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I feel that having all this information come out there is right on point at this moment in our evolution, because all this different ET awareness is, I feel, when it comes to the Ascension, I feel that it's really connected to extraterrestrials. The evolution of the consciousness of humanity is extremely connected to them, because what happens when we evolve our consciousness, we raise our vibration and frequency, and the reason why we don't see a lot of these beings that currently exist there is they just vibrate at a higher frequency than us. So we're going to start shifting into that frequency, and a lot of these beings, the benevolent beings that are such as Anunnaki and other races, are basically literally just waiting for us to get to the level that they're already at. You know, one thing I wanted to add to the whole biblical thing is, like, portal to ascension really is, I feel, one of the main components of us is about restructuring world religion, because world religion has been distorted and every single one of them has a truth in it, but man-made information and then fear and control has kind of taken it over. So when it comes to extraterrestrials and their presence, and if these beings were these beings that were in our ancient Bibles and the angels that we saw, when people start realizing this stuff, they're going to have to question their religion. So I'm really curious to see that when this information starts getting disclosed, what it means for people on the mass level. Like, are people going to start saying that these are our gods and still hold and double down on their religion? Or are they going to realize that their religion has been distorted in some way and that there's an actual more higher cosmic truth that we can all adopt? You know what I mean?
Well, I think that the religions were a program to keep us dummied down, to keep us from taking over. There were so few Anunnaki. The Anunnaki created the division, divide and conquer in different religions as a psychological manipulation program. And there is spirituality. There is, we are connected to source and universal consciousness, and that's what confuses. It's like the doublespeak of George Orwell's 1984. You confuse people's psyche because there's truth and there's falsehood, all in the same illusion that they're projecting out. So that's what religion, it has a lot of truth and it has a lot of falsehoods, and it's hard for the person who comes in with their religious and cultural conditioning programming. Your parents program you, your society programs you. You come in and you think you have to believe, and there is a lot of social pressure. If you don't believe what your parents believe, then you get ostracized. Sometimes you get rejected from your family. In some cultures, they kill you. And that's the reality of this current paradigm. Some cultures, they kill you. So then you conform. You either conform or die, or you conform or you experience social rejection or familiar rejection. Rejection. So we're looking at that, and now people are, every day I hear people, I'm waking up, I'm conscious, I'm aware, and they started the same way you did, by YouTube. Thank God for YouTube and the Internet. Yeah. And somewhat we go dark, because that seems to attract us. What is this dark stuff about the dark aliens and this and that? And David Icke, that's why David Icke was so popular. He was problem, reaction, solution. And we went through that. We went through reptilians who control the planet, the 911, et cetera, et cetera. And here we are, 15, 16 years down the road from that life transformational, societal transformational experience, 911, and we went through 12, 21, 12. So apparently we're going into this new era of disclosure and different technologies that are going to come out, and the greening and cleaning on the planet, and teleportation, et cetera, et cetera. All right, I'm talking too long. I'm going to pass the baton, talking to TJ. It's your turn. Take it away, TJ. Any comments or questions for Neil?
Hi. All right. Well, Neil, I hear what you're saying about bringing on different tracks or different thoughts, or you can bring on anybody, like you said, of what you're creating. And we're all creators, co-creators, and we're all working together. And my strange metaphysical tales is working at, I feel like, a level of bringing in, like you're talking about. I've been working for years on what you're talking about. I've written many, many books on bringing all the world religions together. You may not have known that or seen my pictures or all the world religions around my face or all my books. And many of my books have all the world religions in them, but you have no way of knowing that. So it's funny that you're talking about where you're at right now. It's creating that. So, and we go way back to before the world began. And we're working with all the ancient ones as well. And one of the things as a supreme student at the avatar levels is understanding that the children of today, and I'm 64, Neil, so my children growing up and my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren all played video games, okay? I used to take my kids. And so now maybe one of my, your, all of ours, the age of ascension, or ascension age as I coined it, coming and here now after 12/21/12, is assisting the world in understanding the various universes. And Stan Lee and all these Marvel comics and all that have done it very well. So you may want to look at that because your graphics are beautiful. Janet has that ability to pick pictures, but she wants to have her own graphic designer, and we've got several that work with us in our organizations. We have several organizations around the world, and we have authors, consultants, and organizers. We also have copywriters and editors. They're universal, and we're bringing them all together. And I'd like to invite you to St. Louis, Missouri on June 21st, where we're going to be bringing all these fictional avatars down to Earth and what they call, in many ways, multidimensional ships. And it's all pre-planned, and I had the vision and dreamed it and all this stuff. It doesn't matter if you're a visionary anymore because everybody is. But, we're muses for each other. So I would like to suggest to you that while we're doing all this, that you may help us with this visual animation and video games and bringing the true magician down, because I've been told about this huge beautiful thing that we all seem to get bored once we start waking up, and we start creating all over again this multidimensional level of an understanding. And Janet and I were talking on our last show about one of the gentlemen that she and I caught in one of the Star Trek movies, and he's Sherlock Holmes, and she loves to talk about him. His name is Benedict Cumberbatch. Now, he's going to be Dr. Strange, okay? That was a character created in 1930. But I would like to suggest to you that with all these conferences, and I'm going to, that they are starting, the children, the kids of all the baby boomers are recognizing us old mystical art practitioners, and they're starting to wonder if we're cloaked on, are we the good guys or the bad guys? They're still playing that, but we've all after the Ascension age began, 12/21/12, that we all raised our consciousness to be above that level, right? But the superheroes in multimedia are going to keep that happening. So have you got any wonderful ideas I can be a part of with you? I saw your visual graphics, and I knew that you were reaching out, and I was reaching out, and Janet's reaching out, and Karen, and we're all doing our thing. Can you possibly get above all that, but yet honor all these wonderful things? Because it's magic. The magic is returning to our higher selves and who we're going to be. And Janet was telling me that earlier, as well, with Kathy Martin and Denise Stoner, so I asked her to bring that up. Have you got a read on that?
In regards to the vibration getting higher after the Ascension, the age began? Is that what you're referring to?
Well, all of us bringing in the magic of ourselves, our souls, our oversouls, whatever you want to call it, multi-dimension.
I'm completely in alignment with that. And just I'll give you like an example of my life. I was maybe like 2 to 3 months ago. Before that, I was pretty much working, doing my stuff during the day, binge eating at night, watching Netflix, just like overeating and not really taking care of my body that well, but still doing what I do. And then all of a sudden, I decided to go on a 3-day juice cleanse that I got from Groupon, and I did 3 days of juicing. And then after that, my wife and I went 30 days juicing, and it wasn't like we didn't even have the willpower for it. We've never had the willpower for it. All of a sudden, like I dropped 16 pounds. My dopamine levels just have flooded my body. I don't need anything else anymore to fuel me, and I feel like all these magical synchronicities are happening. But I really feel that this was like a timing code. That it was literally like I had to go through certain experiences, and when I got into this year at age 33. Right after a lot of things astrologically for me had been shifted, and many different people have told me that this year, 33, is going to be the year of abundance, and portal Ascension is going to take off. As soon as like my stars aligned, literally, all of a sudden, all this abundance stuff started happening, and all these magical things happening. These connections started beginning. So I now know, like, even though I'm not being taken above a ship every single day and not having those experiences, I've had conversations with extraterrestrial races within my own consciousness that have literally told me that you're not supposed to have these experiences right now because you need to be in your body and you need to be in your mind because you are here in order to be the technology for the people that are presenting consciousness awareness. So, like, there's been nonstop magical things happening around me, and all the people that I'm talking about that are light workers that are doing this stuff too have literally picked up the game. I feel like ever since 2012, December 21st, 2012, all the practitioners I know have like stepped it up to the next level. Now people are going on tour more, taking risks more, shifting out of their job more to do something that they're passionate about. And we're not just seeing that between the people that we know, peers. We're seeing that on the global level. Like the system is crumbling right now. Like I don't know if you watch the news, but everything is crumbling. Transparency is happening. Disclosure is occurring. Like everything that we've ever said is going to happen is literally happening right now, and I can see it, and I'm tripping out. So it's like, it's game time. There's no more sitting around on the sidelines just talking about what could be. Like, it's literally happening, and the time for all of us to step into our gifts that we've been blessed with is coming now.
Wow, I'm glad you're tripping out. I'm just seeing you trip out. And I think that's what we need to start doing is recording the news, Karen and TJ, like just do like 10, 15 minutes of what's happening, and that'll we can kind of document that. But there's all these things happening. They're finding out that we are totally capable of restructuring our DNA through our own minds, our own energy. Yep. We don't need someone else to turn on our 256 strands of DNA that are turned off. All we need is ourselves and to believe it and to integrate that and just make it happen. And that's just one of many things that I'm getting some. Every day my inbox is like, oh, my God, what's going on today when I wake up. So we are living in those times. So it's time to show up and fully embrace it and accept that it's like the fall of the Berlin Wall. I don't know how. Well, I was old enough, and when the Berlin Wall fell, before the Berlin Wall, we had this reality A, where all these people were prisoners behind this wall, and they were family members on both sides, and people that loved each other, and they couldn't get in or out because of this incredible wall that was left from World War II. And then all of a sudden, one day, it came down. And I think that's what's going to happen with disclosure. The wall right now is the antiquated technologies that are dangerous. They're dangerous. They pollute our atmosphere. When you drive with them, they can fall from the sky and crash and be blown up. We have cures for all diseases, and that's the wall. Who's got those cures, and why won't they let them out? Including the cure for aging. We do not need to die at such young ages of 100 or less. The Anunnaki are parents, and they were at least 450,000 years old, at least. They probably are millions of years old. That is our birthright, and there's no excuse to murder us at the rate of 100,000 people a day because, what are we going to do with them? Well, we have all space. We'll have the technology to travel wherever. It'll be a Star Trekian existence, not Star Wars. I really don't like how Trek got hijacked into war. Excuse me. I'm taking back my trek. I was raised with Trek. I was 12 when it started. I love Leonard. He's gone. We still have a lot of them. They're crossing over. Gene Roddenberry was my teacher. I got to breathe the same air in the same room with him and all the other turned-on students that were going, yes, that's our future. Now we're here in the future, and I'm getting my future back. All right, so
let me get
I'm going to pass it back to you. Okay, Neil? And I have to go to the restroom. I'll be back.
Okay,
Karen and TJ, Kendall, Neil, I'll be back in a few. Thanks so much for your patience, everybody.
So I wanted
go ahead and
to
respond.
That.
Yeah.
Yeah, just what she was saying about the not aging thing. That's another huge thing. Like, I don't believe in time. Like, and every day that goes on, I find another way to detach from the concept of time, but to allow everything to happen completely synchronistically and be where I need to be when I need to get. And the whole thing with time is a linear creation. Where if we're going to exist in a higher dimension, in fifth dimension, the extra one, the fourth dimension being time, the extra one is another point in time. We're going to move to 3 dimensions of time. And when we're in that reality, time is no longer linear, because when you have 3 dimensions of time, it's not beginning and end, which is 2D. It's beginning, middle, and end, where time becomes fluid. The triangle is known as the integration point. So I actually read an article a few years ago from Russian scientists where they looked at the genome of the human, and they said that there was nothing in the genome to say that the human should die. So they have no idea why. They can dissect the genome on all types of levels, look at your DNA, find everything, but they couldn't find anything to tell your body to decay, but your body decays. So what I got out of the article is the reason why we die is, one, because of our external environment, the stuff that we're pumped in, our air, oxygen, fluoride in the water, whatever stuff, chemicals, whatever is going on. And the second thing is our belief system. We have been shifted into the belief system that we feel that we died 100 years old. So we've collectively adopted that on such a hardcore level that it's really difficult for us to shift that belief system until we start releasing the technologies that can support us. So if we only live 100 years old, and these beings that are in control on the higher level live for thousands of years, we don't even have time to be to revolt. We just live and we die, and they live for longer, and they can control everything. We don't even have enough time to really get old enough to be aware of a lot of things. We think that when we're 80 that we're old and wise. What if when you're 80, 100, you're barely coming into your teenage years, and you live so much longer? If we live so much longer, we wouldn't be in so much fear about it. We would want to explore life. We wouldn't want to waste our life doing things and being a part of a system. We would maybe give back to the earth. So I feel that longevity is going to be one of the first things that comes out when disclosure happens, when the technology starts getting released, which I feel is going to happen very, very soon. It's going to be one thing after another when we find out all this quantum energy. The technology that's going to be released, many of us can't even fathom what it really means for us and what it's going to do. We can't even think about these technologies until somebody tells us what it's going to actually do. So that's something really exciting to look forward to.
Oh, thank you for that. And I couldn't agree more. I've learned about health kinds of things. One thing I learned about is we have, at the end of our DNA strands, we have something called telomeres. And depending on the length of your telomere, it literally predicts if you're going to have a short existence or a long existence, and there's ways to repair that. That's one of the secrets possibly of monatomic gold. That's why all over the world they found in ancient temples, they found these jars called amphora with white powder in it, and they didn't know what it was, and now we have a study on what that is. It's called ormus or orme, and that was one type of thing that they were using to extend their telomeres, and this is debated whether that was a good thing or a bad thing, because it did lock you in a frequency possibly and make it harder to continue your ascension. So, yes, exactly, our belief systems are terribly important. I mean, we have everything defined, like we have what a teenager is. That wasn't even known back in the day. That's a certain age. We have what a senior citizen is, and when you're a senior citizen, you're expected to slow down, play golf, and be in your golden years, not work, discontinue your work. And they find out people who retire early tend to pass away early because they've lost their identity in their work, and they've lost, they think that, oh, here it is, I'm facing the big one, So, yes, we have a whole, programming system that tells us how to manage our very short life. And I agree with you. I feel very much, I somehow came into this world being very affronted by the fact that we only lived, 80 to 100 years. First of all, I felt like an old soul, like I've lived a lot longer, and I felt like the whole existence was hurried. And second of all, I kind of remember some of my past lives, and I was like, well, hey, I want to live longer and learn. I'm an artist. I want to learn, take 10 years and do this, and 15 years and do that. And so we're having to hurry through it. And then to top it off, we have all these negative technologies, how our bodies have, been degraded from what's in our environment. But again, that's our belief system, right? So, this is something we all support. But I'm with you. I do believe that many technologies have been invented and then pulled off the market or put in a black box, and we don't know what they are. We've been in an invention cycle now, ostensibly since the 1970s, where we really haven't invented much new. And anybody who tries, particularly the people I know who tried free energy type devices, have been harangued, shut down, or whatnot. And that's like the first thing. If the energy we have now pollutes the air, or in the case of like nuclear, it pollutes everything. That's the first thing, is the new energy systems. And then I love that you interviewed Michael Tellinger, because another technology that we have that's antiquated is the idea of money. I mean, people don't think of money as a technology, but it kind of is, right? And it's antiquated. We're trying to do 22nd century things with, something that we got from the 1600s, basically. And that the main thing is that money, like $1 or £1 or whatever unit you have, measures scarcity. So you need to make things scarce so they can measure it in dollars, which means that we automatically lock in that scarcity is a good thing, or that we create scarcity by planned obsolescence. I always tell my toaster story. I have to get a toaster every couple of years because toasters don't last like they did right after World War II when they were making toasters like tanks, right? They lasted forever. So basically, we've got scarcity built into the system. And Ubuntu or abundance ideas is that we do like nature does. Nature is very abundant, and we learn nature's ways and apply them. So, for instance, we have energy that's abundant. And everybody knows the story of Nikola Tesla. He discovered free energy, but they shut him down because it was free. and they couldn't meter it and make money off of it. So that's a key component is free energy that's safe, renewable, clean, starts the whole ball rolling down the hill. And we will have to figure out other ways to measure trades other than money. But if you got enough of something, you don't really have to measure it in a unit like $1 or £1 or something like that. So that's a really important concept Michael Tellinger is talking about, is an idea of abundance and sharing, and just once you're stable and you can provide for your household, then you're free to give of your energy, your time, and your knowledge. So that he has the contribution side of that, which is awesome. So that's a great person to interview and to know what he's on about. Go ahead.
Right, exactly. And his whole philosophy, his Ubuntu philosophy, is just like you donate 3 hours a week, basically, to the community, and you get free infinite energy. And the whole thing with energy is the major thing that is creating the income inequality in the entire world is because people don't have energy. So as soon as you give everybody energy for free, the whole entire planet transforms, because now people in desert areas without the ability to have soil can use energy to grow things within greenhouses, and everybody can have food. So first you start with the abundance of free energy, and there's so many different ways. Like there's magnets, there's pulling energy from a black hole, infinite energy, and now all of a sudden everybody can eat. And when there's an abundance of food and no one's starving on this planet, what else is possible?
I agree. Go ahead, TJ.
And I'm back whenever it's my turn.
Was it your turn or TJ's? I didn't know.
TJ.
It's TJ's turn. TJ, are you there? Maybe she went for a break. Can you hear me? Can everybody hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
So I wanted to add the whole thing that you said about Michael Tellinger is the one thing I want to add before. How long do we have left? Is this only for an hour, or do we have a little while longer?
Oh, no, we actually have 2 hours. We're free to go an hour or 2 hours. I'm going to see if Jay dropped off. I'm going to have to call her back. But, yeah, I haven't talked to Michael Tellinger in a number of years now. I did speak with him he stayed at our house for a couple of days, and we sponsored him as he did a presentation here in Maui at the Temple of Peace.
Nice.
We had a wonderful time with him. He and Dr. Lesson, they went out to do all the tourism beach stuff for a few days. But I haven't talked to him much very little since that, because I know he's extremely busy. So you just got done with his presentation. Can you update us on the information that Michael Tellinger is bringing to the planet, please? Thank you.
Yes. Okay, so he's been doing Ubuntu for some time. He was having some issues in the South African community where people from out of town that probably connected to some sort of elite family were going around and trying to badmouth him to the entire town in order to help him lose funding for Ubuntu. He's been experiencing extreme attacks of people trying to take him down. And then all of a sudden, Corey Good comes out, and Michael Tellinger didn't know Corey Good, and Corey Good said that he's from the Secret Space Program, and then the Secret Space Program is actually benevolent, and they're trying to help and release some technologies, and that they said the Ubuntu philosophy that Michael Tellinger created, they said it by name to Corey Good and other people on staff, is the paradigm that they're using in order to create the new economy that we're going to have to be shifting into very soon once this one collapses. So Michael Tellinger, with that, he actually got connected with Gaia TV, and now he's gone to a whole different level because Gaia TV got him out to many more people. So this year he is focused on fundraising right now. And the webinar yesterday was about basically what's been happening, how there's been all these attacks, and how he's restructuring. And he just traveled throughout London, got back 2 days ago because he's helping out with the London elections there where Ubuntu members are running for parliament. And then we also have Ubuntu members running for office in South Africa. So his whole goal right now is by the end of the year, they're attempting to win one, I don't know if it's a city, state, or a town, or one municipality within South Africa as the Ubuntu basically district. So from now until the end of the year, he's focused on all elections, and the whole goal is to get somebody on the ground level, whether it's Congress or something, in every single country to put the seed of Ubuntu within the political movement. And after he does that, after this year is over, we're going to start creating webinars where we have roundtable meetings of the top officials for Ubuntu worldwide so we can start building some sort of community. Because right now, there's Michael Tellinger really didn't want to step into a leadership role. He was a presenter on ancient civilizations. He found out about Ubuntu, just telling everybody. But now that it's becoming something so solid and there's a huge movement around it, he's having to rethink on how he's going to approach this and really adopt being the leader of the Ubuntu party so that he can kind of bring cooperation worldwide.
Karen and I have been talking about the global economic reset and the basic minimum needs economy and what it would take, and we have some ideas that we've been bantering around. It would be nice to connect and correlate Michael Tellinger's information as well, because we definitely need to have another society, a different system, a different program, because so many people are struggling and starving and living on the streets, and that's not what life is about. It's not here to come here and just, live in a box in the street in the winter and the cold. And as a therapist, I've heard these stories of how people suffered. And even my own childhood, it was like there were times where we just didn't have enough money for food, and I had to ration my cookies I got as a little girl, and all kinds of horror stories. So I envision a world where everybody has more than enough, and there is more than enough to go around.
Yeah, exactly.
So count me in for this stuff. I wanted to talk about the Secret Space Program. I haven't been able to get Corey Good to come on our shows. Corey, if you're listening, please come on. We'd like to interview you. I did talk to Dr. Michael Sala, who lives on Big Island. I've met him several times, and he gave us a wonderful interview about Corey Good, and I did get to talk to Randy Kramer. It'd be great to have Randy Kramer, Corey Good, Andrew Bashaga, who's been a part of the Secret Space Program, and really address that issue. And everybody has to leave their egos at the door. I understand there's these things that are going on behind the scenes, and I would invite everybody to just check your ego at the door, because the Illuminati checks their ego at the door, and they have a meeting, and then they do control the planet. If we are going to kick the planet back, we just have to check our little individual egos at the door and come in like big grown-up people and discuss the issues and the resolutions and how we're going to do this. I've got people that I know, and I'd like to connect with you, Neil, that have solutions. There's a wonderful gentleman, I can't think of his name right now. He's talking about some kind of microbes that could eat the stuff that's radioactive and clean up the ocean that way. So I'm looking at solutions, doing conferences on solutions, all people with solutions. Yeah. What I find when we gather together in one common vision, like in discussing an issue, we get these incredible ahas. And, it's like we just need more of these ahas. And then that information goes out into the morphogenic field via these conferences that get broadcast and they get put up on YouTube. And then people start watching that. And we are accelerating the process of ascension, so to speak, of going from a level 0 civilization to a level 1. Also, I think it'd be great to have Michio Kaku. I don't know if you've been able to get him, but get Michio Kaku to come on. I saw Michio Kaku at a conference it was like 2000 in New York City, and they were talking about, it was the Entheogens conference. They were talking about the value of Entheogens to help us break through the matrix and to reconnect to source. And that was like one of the most phenomenal conferences with all, Ram Dass and everybody. That's another idea for a conference. Anyway, I just want to share those thoughts and ideas. And I've been trying to get TJ back on. TJ, if you're listening, call back into the show, 646-649-0893, 646-649-0893. For some reason, I am calling you, and it's not working. So I'll keep doing that. But back to you, Neil, I guess, and then back to Karen.
Yeah. So one thing I want to add to this, since we're talking about Michael Tellinger, I want to bring it back to our business model, Portal to Ascension's business model, is that the whole thing is with Michael Tellinger, and what I also have been saying for some time, is that within the spiritual metaphysical community and the esoteric information and all these presenters, there's a lot of competition because there's money out there, and we need to live to survive, and we need to make money. And this yoga studio is competing with that yoga studio, and that metaphysical store needs to make money over that metaphysical store. So there's the energy of competition. The whole thing with Ubuntu and abundance is that we stop coming from the scarcity lack mentality, where we start feeling that if we don't capitalize over that person, we're going to lose out, and we start unconditionally giving and cooperating. So Ubuntu, as well as Portal to Ascension, is we're here, and the reason why I emailed Theresa and we've been going back and forth as affiliates is I'm contacting everybody and anybody that I can contact that is doing something, and I'm saying, hey, this is who we are, and we want to shift from competition to cooperation, and we're trying to bring unity within all this movement. So we're reaching out to people to bring everybody into the movement together. Because the whole thing is, with the reason why the Illuminati and the elite have all this conscious esoteric wisdom, but they're still going to fail, is because the Illuminati and the elite, they come from the energy of being exclusiveness. When you come from the energy of exclusiveness, that is not a higher vibration than inclusiveness. So we're coming from the energy of including everybody, and by doing that, we start creating conscious business. And that's another part of our thing, is we're really promoting conscious business and telling people what it means to be a conscious business, doing something called sacred economics, where you start doing cooperation with people, where you are completely transparent and you let people know your business model, and you don't do anything shady that's been going on basically with worldwide corporations right now. So I really want people to be aware of conscious business and also implement that in their own lives, so that we can kind of start shifting into the energy of bringing everybody together rather than doing the opposite.
Great. So, Karen, your turn.
Oh, gosh, I really enjoyed what you just said, because I was a business person for a lot of years, and as I was evolving as a person, I was realizing that exclusiveness thing that you're talking about, where our system is kind of based on the scarcity idea. So to think in terms, to quote unquote make a profit, as they would say. You have to think in terms of making yourself a commodity that's scarce. So the idea is to cut off the other people and say, oh, you don't want to talk to them, they blah, blah, blah. You want to talk to me because I'm so much better. And so it just kind of builds in that competitiveness. And that has been, kind of how it's been. I mean, why you would buy this record versus that record, why you would go to this seminar versus that seminar. And, as Janet and I have pursued radio, I mean, there's a lot of radio models out there. We're kind of pretty much giving it away. We're just starting to experiment with sponsorship kinds of things in a commercial base. But that's not what we're about. Both of us are, completely. Obviously we want it to be able to keep going. So we need some assistance with that donation. Thank you. But we want enough to keep ourselves going, but we don't want to build into that exclusiveness. And to me, I think there's going to be like a snowball rolling down the hill, and that last snowflake of awareness, the 3% of us or whatever, the hunter's monkey, however that works, it's going to be the snowball effect, and there won't be enough of us. Trust me, we'll be so busy. To me, there's no market. There doesn't need to be a ghetto. There doesn't need to be a paranormal market in that same way. We think of the abundance of the fact that someday everybody's going to be wanting to know more about that, and they'll pick different flavors of who can speak to them and who they resonate with, as they're doing now. So I say more the merrier. If someone says, hey, I'm thinking about radio, I don't discourage them because they might be my competition. I'm like, yay, go for it, do it. Do what is your dream and what you're feeling, because it might be very needed, as we progress toward progression. Some people like the flavor of what me and Janet does. Other people like a different flavor. So when we get to that, I know me when I was in my, awakening, I would pick somebody's show or their videos, and I'd watch every single one of them, because I resonated with it. I understood it. And then I'd move on to the next one that gave me a different view. But when the whole world is going to change, then, like I said, we're going to be so busy trying to get people information that they've been ignoring. I always say that there's a bunch of people that want the surprise package of Ascension. They don't want to ease their way in it, because I've been, learning about this just since I was a kid. I eased my way in, right? Some people are going to get it all at once, and so they're going to need that support, So that's what we're here for. We're here to continue to find the people that are in their process. So that's very, very good. Yeah, if you want to talk a little bit more about that, go ahead.
Yeah, I feel that the whole paradigm is shifting when it comes to this. Why would we work and make money just in order to perpetuate this system that is just taken away from who we are as humans? Like corporations and businesses in this world, what is the number one thing that a corporation needs to look for? They need to look out for. They got to look out for their shareholders, right? So their investors. So just there in itself, the first rule of all these businesses that have lobbying power with all our governments that control the way we live, their first entire priority is to look out for their investors, and we're not their investors. We're just random people. So what would happen if the number one priority of business became the people? So that's really where I'm at right now. Is I'm trying to figure out really like how to take conscious business to another level, and I want to like do huge expos and conferences hitting the mainstream where random people can just walk into this thing and we can start talking about, okay, you've noticed that all this stuff is coming out with just recently the Panama Papers and all the shady stuff that politicians are doing and how they're connected to corporate lobbyists. Like, what are we going to do to change it? We need to restructure what we consider a business. So that's going to be an entire university. And what I want to eventually do is, Portal to Ascension, I want to soon split into multiple universities within the one website where we have a conscious business training, where we have sacred sexuality, where we incorporate all types of sexual modalities, including Tantra, to really help people align the energy centers. And then I want to do like the extraterrestrial university, because when people start waking up, and like what you said is right on point, because I used to say this is what I used to say, that when people start waking up and walking around like chickens with their heads cut off, that's when the way showers and the light workers' real mission is going to kick in. And that's what's happening right now. Like, it took me 16 years to get to this point, But I met someone who completely didn't know anything about this last year and now is at the same level of awareness that I'm at. So it's like, it's not really about having years of wisdom at this point. It's the frequency has shifted. The ascension period is way underway. People are waking up, and they're going to learn all this stuff in complete downloads very, very quickly. So what is our role in this? Our role basically is to create these webinars and use my SEO skills and start collaborating with everybody. So when this actually happens, we're already there, front and center, ready to go to provide people with information, but not just a video where they see the information and then they just leave a YouTube comment, but give them a webinar where they can talk to these people face-to-face, basically, and ask questions to them and get real-time feedback.
I love what you're doing, and count me in. And my vision is that we're going to do, in conjunction with these things, is a gathering of people at different locations. I see, based on the experiencer movement, that we're going to do a minimum of 6 different regional conferences so people can afford to get there. There's something about seeing each other. I'm a Tantra master,
yes,
and I'd love to be part of your sacred sexuality conferences, but there's something about sharing breath. Whenever people are gathered in a room together, we are all sharing breath. And so basically the molecules of each person is going into each other. There's something about being in the same room. And I know we as a sphere eventually share breath, and that's across the whole globe, so we are all one that way. We are sharing breath, and our molecules are going inside of each other. But that takes a long time for, the person that you're forming this bond with by being in the same room, shared consciousness, shared vision, kind of accelerates the process. So I hope that part of your funding that you're receiving for this is going towards the creation of conferences that are live, because part of the main problem is getting the funding to put down on the venue, and then the people that are going to come, the earlier you pay, the better, because then the organizers can afford to pay for the airfare for the presenters to fly in and the hotels and all the fees. It's very expensive. I've made attempts over and over. I ran a different type of conference on sacred sexuality and relationships for 8 years. And it's exhausting just, going through the money bumps and grinds that you need to do. Sacred sexuality conferences are critical. That's about teaching us how to awaken our Kundalini energy and have a direct relationship with Source and universal consciousness, to remember who we are and why we came into our physical bodies. And so I really encourage people think sacred sexuality and Tantra is all about sexuality, but sexuality is only 1/7 of the equation, yet we're all here because of sex. Every single one of us is here because somebody had an orgasm. Unless you're an alien
hopefully they had one.
Yeah, I don't know how they extract semen from humans on the ship, but maybe some were that way than you are, David.
Yeah.
Anyway,
hey,
humans.
I must share this with you. If it wasn't for you in what year did you come over to my house? I think that was 2013. Okay, I think it was 2013 after cousin reunion. But when you were there, you were telling me that you do this technique, and basically it's an orgasmic state where you get to a vibration at a dimension where you start channeling a being that exists as a dimension. Do you remember telling me that? Or do you remember? So that's the reason why I went on a sacred. That's the reason why I went on a sacred sexuality path after that. I've never forgot that, and almost every single person I ever talked to about sexuality, I told that story just to kind of put it in context of the fact that your Kundalini and your chakra system is connected to dimensions, and through your orgasmic state, you're pulling energy from higher dimensions, So it's actually been, I just want to give you credit, basically. If it wasn't for what you said to me back then, I wouldn't have even known that that was a component of it, and it wouldn't even be a part of what we're doing now.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad you remembered that. And I've talked to so many people. I don't remember everything I say to everybody, but I'm glad I was able to plant that seed of higher consciousness. There was something else I wanted to say. Let me back up in my mind and slow down just a moment. Oh, I wanted to mention there was an article today out by the New Phoenix Times. Did I lose it? I think I closed it. Here it is. We have a beloved goddess Tracy Elise. I just want to pause. She's done an incredible amount of spiritual work to try to help our planet wake up around Tantra and how Tantra was brought to Earth by the Anunnaki, and the Anunnaki are our parents. And I know we're going to talk about all the different extraterrestrial beings, but this is the latest hybridization program was the Anunnaki, and other species do add their DNA, but we look like them, and we are they and they are us, and we all have Anunnaki DNA. So Tracy was teaching Tantra, which was popularized by the Anunnaki here on the Earth through the goddess Inanna, and Inanna was a very complicated person. And Tracy's now facing many, many years. She could get as many as 70 years in jail. And she's taking the issue of Tantra as a religion all the way up to the Supreme Court if she can, and she's now in Maricopa. What is she in? Not Maricopa jail. They have a name for it. Anyway, I can't find it. I'm just going through the article. And she has sentencing on May 6th, which is coming up very rapidly here. And I would just invite everybody to pray. We know that prayer and meditation work, and it doesn't matter who you're praying to, just as long as it's higher powers of some source. It could be your higher self, but just for awareness. But this woman is, as a true modern-day hero, she could have taken a plea deal. She could be out free and having no worries, but she stood up for the goddess, for Tantra, for balancing this planet to a partnership society, to free humanity. And I just invite everybody to just send her love and see her free and do what you can. They are taking a legal fund. I'm not sure where that is, but I could help you find it, to free Tracy Elise, the Phoenix Goddess Temple founder and Mother Goddess Priestess. Thank you for that commercial. And back to whoever wants the talking stick. Karen, haven't heard you.
Yeah.
TJ, I can't get her back. I don't know what's going on with her phone. They probably went dead or something.
Well, I'm going to go back to the financial discussion again, because it's kind of one of the things I follow. And to just say that I knew about it quite young, because my father was a conspiracy theory guy. So I heard about the Bilderbergers and Federal Reserve and all that. And just to see, to acknowledge the progression. When he told it to me, it was like, that's the way it is, it's just the way it is, that system's in place. And he passed away before this great surge in awareness. I've suddenly watched a movie that we watched in our house on an old reel-to-reel film. A clip of it was on YouTube. All these YouTubes now, these older guys are warning of the problems with the Federal Reserve and it's, impending bankruptcy pretty much. There's a lot going on. So you can go to places like Zero Hedge and other places and really track, the fact that this was meant to collapse. It is collapsing. And some people, it's a collapse. But I say that I used to live in a town where there's an old barn and it was falling in and finally it collapsed. Well, that allows the owner of the property to, take away the barn and put up a new barn. So that's the way I see it, is that humanity's not just going to stop everything it's going to do just because of the financial system, which is kind of a false system anyway. It built on all of our years of other ways we traded. It's not the end of the Chicken Little, the sky's falling kind of thing. But I wanted to say that I've been a proponent of the basic income guarantee, which would be the idea that everyone would get a basic income and enough to survive, get a house, get food, all that kind of stuff. Collapse the current benefit system, which has become complicated and actually sucks up a lot of the funding meant for the end client. But I've always felt, and I want to be sure about this, is that if we don't have a new system developed of abundance, just kind of happens, like maybe get all those downloads and it just happens and we all figure it out. If we need some kind of transitional idea, I like the idea of the basic income in conjunction with making other things abundant. In other words, if we just, bail out, in a sense, even the people of the system, then we're just going to keep going with it, right? So I think that we're at a crisis point where basic income would help stabilize everyone so they can learn new ways of doing things. I think we might have a really bad taste in our mouth of the selfish way of doing things, and would want to go toward an abundance, especially if we knew about it, if we knew free energy was available. Because eventually, if you finally have free energy, it's like dominoes. Then the food, like you said, becomes far less expensive. Literally everything, transportation, everything we pay a lot of money for, our housing, everything, would start to come down in price because we would have abundant energy, which allows us to produce and more food, all the kinds of things. Create tools that build our houses. Right now, they've got this idea of making giant-sized 3D printing of houses, which would lower the cost by a considerable amount, based on old Adobe methods. I live in New Mexico, so it'd be that same idea. And so it really is the domino, the free energy thing is. But what I wanted to preface is I've talked a lot about the basic income, is it's just the start. And if we had the mind of there should not be any homeless people, that not to blame the person laying on the street that's got nowhere to go, but to look up and say, hey, the people managing the system at the top are allowing this to happen. Because, frankly, homelessness is an industry. People benefit by the fact that there's people that are homeless, sad to say. If nothing else, it keeps people afraid that they might become that way, and so they'll go work at their schleppy job because they don't want to become homeless. So everything's tied to scarcity. And so I just kind of want to go back and talk about that we could have a process. We could have the income guarantee, which basically abolishes poverty because everyone would have the means to get a house and get stabilized and have food. And then we go and build this new world, which we literally can, even without the technology that they hide from us. There's still enough, if we change our minds about something. Like in the olden days, the person didn't have to build their own barn. The community did a barn raising, so everyone would come and help build a barn. We've totally lost that sense of community. If we just turn with a sense of community, even if we're not provided with the exotic stuff that we know about, we can still do this. It's just our mindset. So anyway, I just wanted to say that and get your feedback.
I agree. I think we've lived in a reality where we've been really possessive, and because of our separation from source, we've become so individualistic and so possessive of this is ours, like our child, our whatever, that in the higher dimensions and in tribal communities, ancient times, everything was communal and they did everything in a community. And even so, add to what you said, is that they used to raise their children in the community too, that the child, even though these were your parents, they were never there wasn't that connection to the parents like we have now. It was more like the whole entire community raised the child, and the child wasn't told what to do and controlled by the parents and said it's better if you become a lawyer or whatever like that. Whatever the child felt passionate about, they encouraged the children to cultivate whatever they're passionate about, and they would go and live with people that cultivate that talent. So I feel that we're moving back into that the more we become, the more we get rid of fear and we don't have to be afraid of each other anymore, and we can start trusting each other. What's going to happen then? When we trust each other, we don't have fear with each other, we'll be more free with everything. And we'll also start, like you said, we'll start creating things together. We'll share something simple. Like there's even different programs already that exist that in your local community, there's a website, for example, where they have all the tools listed, and you can put in your zip code and you can borrow your tools like a lawnmower or something for somebody in the local community rather than buying your own one. So I think more programs like that are going to encourage us to come together as a unit are going to start coming out.
Yeah, I was, talking about ET Connection. The ET Connection I had was they said we are going to go that way. It's just a matter of time. Simply because it is the next step in our evolution is to go back to our idea of community and cooperation, because it's like this big experiment of extreme individuality, which individuality is great, but we're at this point of this where it doesn't work anymore, where it's so every man is an island,
Yeah.
And it's strangely though we are all forced into a conformity at the same time, that does fault individual expression. So weirdly enough, going back to community and like he's talking about the child getting to choose kind of the path that they want to go in, we actually would have, since we don't have this commoditization of people and they're sort of parts in a corporation machine, right? When we have the provision of our household, where it's based at home, and when I say provision of households, very carefully, because it's the idea of not a budget of money for the household, but provision, and that decouples it from it having to be a financial, interaction. So it can be a basic income. It could be a grant for the things that you need. It can be a sharing of the things that you need. We can start thinking of how do we provide things without money. A lot of people are having to do it just simply because the economy is that bad. We're having to, learn those already just because if you don't barter with somebody or trade or whatever, you're not going to get anything because you're not going to get what you need because people can't just go out and buy everything that they need right now. So we're already kind of going that way. If there was a financial collapse, we would hurt that process would go faster because we would be like, okay, I've got this, you've got that, let's make a trade. We'd have to figure that out. And a lot of people have talked about technology being something that assists with that. So I don't see our technology going away. Some people are really afraid of that, but we're now dependent on it. But we have the ability with free energy. So that's the number one threat, right? An EMP is some kind of pulse, non-couch power graded. We don't have what we're depending on right now, which is electricity to run my phone that I'm talking to you on right now. My father was a power plant guy, and he thought in terms of community energy rather than a grid. And a lot of people think in terms of going off the grid. They want to try that. And it doesn't mean that you have to live like they did 100 years ago with no energy, although that can be a good way to go just for a lot of other skills. But to, beautifully apply technology, like that's what you're doing with your conference. You're beautifully applying technology to overcome the fact that, it's difficult for people to make conferences. And I appreciate that you're doing that because I've had a hard time making conferences due to physical and financial reasons. And so I appreciate it when somebody has something online. So I'm getting an echo, so I'm going to stop talking.
And, Janet, like you were saying, doing in-person conferences, and you were hoping that we have a goal for that. That's exactly the goal. The real reason I'm doing webinars is so that I can start doing huge in-person events with 10,000 plus people. Like everything that's coming in right now is going towards creating something huge in the end of 2017. And then I don't know where I'm going to do it yet. I might do it in LA. I might do it in London. But it's going to be the beginning. We're going to start creating like a branded event and just travel the world, Spain, Europe, other places in London, all over the States. And I want to start doing these in-person events because just like you said, like it's different when you're right there with someone, you're breathing the same air and you're doing a meditation and you're experiencing the same energy and you can interact with them. So that's what we really want to start bringing, and not just have like 100, 200 people. We want to do it, and I'm hoping that the money that we bring in gets even more and more, we become even more abundant so that we can start doing thousands of people free conferences worldwide because, we can get a few hundred people. We charge a couple $100 for it, but I would love to be able to make the money so I can do a free conference and have thousands of people attend it so we can really do it for the right reasons, which is to shift the consciousness of the planet.
So you want to do like a Woodstock or a Burning Man type event?
Yeah.
Type of, which is like, well, those are nice. I like the smaller, more intimate events. I go to one that's got Contact in the Desert's pretty big now, and
that is.
International UFO Congress, UFOcongress.com. That's about 3,000 people. For me, those are lovely because it's less overwhelming, and the logistics of having a large amount of people, like you're talking about, unless you get something like when you were talking about it, I know that the football stadiums can hold in. If you remember Pat Robertson and those people, they used to hold them in football stadiums. I once was a yuppie, and I lived in Penn State at State College and worked at Penn State University in my second marriage, and I would go to the the football games, Penn State University games at Beaver Stadium, and they had 100,000 people in a stadium. So maybe you might want to look at stadiums as a place where you could hold these things, and then you don't have to try to do the horrible logistics because it's already been figured out. They got parking for 100,000 people, and those towns that have these people that have 100,000 people coming in at once, they have the hotels, and they're pretty reasonable. So they have all the hotels and bed and breakfast set up in those type of communities. So this is a suggestion, and that was just coming to me while you were talking about it. It's like, well, where could you have those?
That's cool.
As I get older, I don't want to go to Burning Man and be out. I don't like things rough. I like, air conditioning. And,
I don't want it rough either. I want to do a conference. The main reason I want to bring people together is I want everybody to be meditating at the same moment with the same intention. That if we have thousands of people together doing a sound healing activation where we're all focusing on shifting the consciousness of the planet for multiple days, that'd be great. But I want to create everything. Like, honestly, I want to start Portal to Ascension. Our abbreviation is PTA, which Portal to Ascension. So it's kind of like Parent Teacher Association. So it's like a little play on words. So we actually we started a few years ago PTA town hall meetings where, since we have like a Portal to Ascension UK chapter, we have a Canada chapter, we have a Spain chapter, we have a Portland chapter, different people from those groups reached out to me. And they started creating weekly meetings where they were just getting together, having conversations about consciousness and the ascension. So I want to start getting more organized with that. I'm automating everything, and I'm hiring the right people to get this really functioning properly. But I want to start doing PTA town hall meetings where we're like literally like monthly, thousands of people worldwide are getting together with maybe just like 10 people, 20 people in the community, and we're all starting to have the conversation of what we can do in order to help shift the paradigm and start creating real change on this planet.
Well, now that we have technology, it's pretty easy to do. You could have your little home group tied in with another home group, so you have 20 in one living room. Exactly. And we do that now. When a lot of the UFO groups or MUFON groups, they'll have us be the guest speaker, and we're here in Maui, and we're speaking to their group. And at that group, they have 30 to 50 or 100 people, right? So that's our way of doing it. And so imagine you could have all the groups talking to each other the same day. Then you've got, you have 100,000 people in one day.
That would be awesome.
All talking to each other. And this is a vision. I had a young man that lives here, and he did the intention call, just on an intention. And unfortunately, he crossed over. He died of cancer, and he was only 27 years old. He reminded me a lot of you. Great visionary.
Nice.
It was very sad to see him cross over. But he was a techno person that was getting together the technology. And I know that he had 3,000 people on his conference call, and maybe more. It might have been 4 or 5 or 6. And I saw him go from 100 people. In fact, I signed up early. I was like number 15 or something, And it was like people believing in him. So I think you can do this, Neil. You've got the energy. For some reason, you have the energy to make this happen. And it's all coalescing around you, and that's what I saw in you when I met you in person in 2013. Apparently, I said, pay attention to Neil. He's telling me this stuff, and it takes a little bit younger energy. I'm 62. She is 64. Karen's in her 50s, and we just didn't come in with the technology understanding. And for me, it hasn't been nature like it is for somebody that's a 30-something, so
grew up
that.
So guys, I actually have to get going because I have to do last-minute errands for my wedding shopping right now.
I'm so glad you said that because I have somebody coming, and it's like, this is great. How do people reach you, Neil? And let's get Karen. Last words, Karen. What would you like to say before we sign off?
Oh, no, just thrilled to talk to you, and we'll be really I'll be paying attention, since Janet said she was. I'll be paying attention. Very excited with what you're doing, and also good fortune on your new relationship status. Thank you. All of that. That's wonderful. I've been through the changes there, and it's good to start anew in our lives, and akin to starting a new blank book, and writing on new chapters in our life history. So,
yes,
fortunate with that.
Congratulations in your.
Thank you.
Okay, that's me, and thank you for everybody listening, and thank you, Neil. It's great talking to you.
Thank you. And let me just give the website one time real quick. The website to connect with us is portaltoascension.org, and we have webinars coming up every single week starting next week for up until September. So please stay tuned. You can actually go to our website and sign up on our email list. And you'll not only receive webinars updates, but you'll receive free webinars. We have a free webinar coming up on May 7th called True World History. We have around 2,000 people signed up for this webinar. It's the True World History. The history books are going to be rewritten within the next couple of years, and we're pioneering this information by doing a free event to get thousands of people involved. So if you're interested in that, please go to our website.
KCOR Digital Radio
Thank
Network.
you so much, everybody. Love you guys.
Tuesday at 2:30 p.m. Pacific, as we connect the dots and unravel the cosmic mysteries with Divine Paradigm. Divine Paradigm, hosted by Dr. Sasha Lessin and Janet Kira Lessin. Interview those in the know, whether it be researchers, whistleblowers, contactees, or military mind control programs.
Testing. Can you hear me?
Have you ever wanted to learn about ancient texts, suppressed history, spiritual ascendance, as well as past, future, and simultaneous life existences?
This is one of the most important decisions you'll ever make.
Then you need to tune into Divine Paradigm.
Divine Paradigm.
Tuesdays at 2:30 p.m. Pacific, 5:30 p.m. Eastern.
I'm doing it. I can do it. I'm doing it.
Exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. Coming March 1st, 2016.
Every region of the world and most countries can go back in their history and trace their origins, traditions, and religions to a creator god or an angel from the sky, the stars, heaven, or even underground from the underworld. This is the common story of extraterrestrials seeding our planet. My name is Reverend John M. Polk. I am an international metaphysical minister, a Reiki master teacher, and a medium. My book is Yahweh, the Biblical God, is an Alien. The premise of my book is that there is a real God, and that Yahweh is a creator God alien who is indicating he is ready to reveal his alien origins to humanity at this time. You can find my book at johnpolkmedia.com. That's JOHNPOLK media.com. johnpolkmedia.com.
My name is Karen Christine Patrick, and I want to tell you about the Cleanse for Life solution from Isagenix. The need to cleanse is vital in today's dangerously toxic world. Our demanding lifestyles, environmental toxins, poor nutrition, and daily stresses overload our body's own detoxification defenses. Unlike a colon cleanse or laxative product, Cleanse for Life uses a synergistic blend of gentle cleansing herbs and other natural compounds to ensure the energizing nutrients flood into the body as the toxins are cleansed out. My favorite Isagenix product is the Cleanse for Life solution. I drink it as a hot beverage in the morning every day. You can find out more at my website, kcpatrick.isagenix.com. That's K, C as in cat, patrick.isagenix.com. kcpatrick.isagenix.com. Cleanse for Life.
Who are we to say? With all the planets and all the galaxies and all the solar systems, we're the only intelligent life form? We can't. An out-of-this-world experience here on Earth. Your eyes will be open to an exciting lineup of speakers, exhibitors, and copious aha moments. Experiencers, UFOs, extraterrestrials. It's all coming. Alien Cosmic Expo, June 24th to 26th at the Best Western Plus Brant Park Inn. Tickets at aliencosmicexpo.com.
Welcome to the Total Wireless Store, where total confidence awaits.
Music powers my morning runs, but data overages slow me down.
Don't worry, you got this with the Total Wireless Store. Just bring your number and get 10 gigs of lightning-fast 4G LTE data with unlimited talk and text for $40 a month.
I'd run to the Total Wireless Store right now for that deal, if I wasn't already here.
Data girl.
Discover the Total Wireless Stores and get total confidence. The latest phones, the best network, all at great prices. Excludes TracFone Wireless Inc. brand sports. $40 plan must remain active to keep bonus data after 12/31/18. Terms at stores.totalwireless.com.